Just quickly kind of go over, the last game, the summary of the Rutgers game. Offensively, player of the game from the coaching staff was Trace McSorley. Defensively was Brandon Smith. And, I would like to take a moment just to talk about what an unbelievable kid Brandon is. His story, he's got a tremendous Penn State story like a lot of our guys. Married, graduated, got a bunch of guys, and he's one of them. I think I have a chance to be academic All-American this year. Is applying to medical school. He's been unbelievable. He's brought so much leadership. He's brought so much maturity to our program. He gets up and speaks to the team, and I wish fans and media could see how wonderful this guy is when he gets up and talks to our team. Just blessed to have gotten to know Brandon. And then on special teams, Blake Gilligan and Lamont Wade, a combination of those two guys. Just some notes, defensive positives, again, positive on sudden change. We start the game in a way we obviously didn't want to start the game, and our defense does a great job there. We only gave up 43 yards passing, which is a Penn State record. Really, to me, this is a really impressive stat. We had 8 3-and-outs in the game and 7 on 7 straight drives, which was really impressive. Areas to improve: we got to get turnovers. We got to get more turnovers. We dropped 2 interceptions. We got to do a better job there. We only had 1 sack. We need more there. We probably missed 4 sacks, on scrambles. Offensive positives: great job protecting the football. That's been something I'm very, very proud of. We take a lot of pride in and spend a lot of time in practice on and things like that. And they've done a nice job with that. And then great job of being explosive and making our goal from an explosive play perspective. Areas to improve: got to be more physical up front at O-line and tight end, and sustain and finish blocks. And then continue to improve on third down. We've made progress there, but we can still be better. On special teams, our punt team unit has become elite. I think we were able to down 3 punts inside the 10-yard line in one game, which is really impressive. And Blake and that whole unit have become a real weapon for us. Areas to improve: we got to eliminate the penalties. We've got too many penalties right now on special teams, which are negating some of the really good things that are going on there. So good win. Very appreciative of the fans and the environment and being back at home here at Beaver Stadium. But we're 1-0 and we've moved on now. Obviously getting ready for Nebraska and Mike Riley. I think when I think Nebraska, I think growing up, I look at Nebraska in a lot of ways, a lot of similarities to Penn State. Tremendous history, tremendous tradition and pride. One of those types of programs that you view that way. I really like Mike Riley as a coach and as a person. Great guy. I've gotten to know him and his wife fairly well. He's been doing it for a long time at every level and has been successful wherever he's been. So I think that's going to be a tremendous opportunity for us, and I know our guys are looking forward to it. Kind of studying these teams like we do, kind of surprised Nebraska leads the all-time series 9-7. They've won the last 4 games against Penn State, which is also something that was probably surprising to me. So we want to chip away at those 2 things. Offensively, their quarterback makes them go. From what I've seen on film and everybody I've talked to, big, strong quarterback is going to look great in warm-ups. Can make all the throws, sling it all over the field. Dynamic at the wide receiver position. On defense, 3-4 style defense, very similar to kind of what we faced last week in some ways. Bob Diaco is the defensive coordinator, was the defensive coordinator at Notre Dame when he went to the national championship, was the head coach at UConn as well. I do think it's somewhat helpful that we're playing 2, 3, 4 teams in a row. For our offense, that's going to be a challenge. Very long and athletic in the secondary. And then on special teams, they got some returners, that scare you. So tremendous challenge. Excited about being back, back at Beaver Stadium again. Stripe out game, senior day. Obviously these seniors couldn't be more proud of those guys. Very confident that they're going to go on and be tremendous fathers and husbands and businessmen and leaders. Really, really proud of those guys. You know, they've seen it all here in their Penn State career, and have done wonderful things on the football field. I'm very confident the type of men that, you know, that they're going to be leaving our university and how they're prepared for life. Some of those guys have opportunity to play in the NFL, and you know, when they get done their football careers, I'm very confident that they're prepared to go on and do great things. So, open up the questions.
Start with Rich Garcella from the Running Eagle.
Hello, James.
Hey, Rich, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Really good.
Good, good. James, you've mentioned your concerns about the offensive line several times, including a few minutes ago. You rotate players at other positions, several other positions. So how close have you come to trying other offensive linemen during games?
Well, actually what I said was, I said the O-line and the tight ends. You know, there's a lot of things that factor into it. It's not just those guys, but we're playing the guys that we feel like give us the best chance to win on Saturdays. We've obviously had some injuries which have factored into it. You know, we don't spend a whole lot of time talking about injuries because it's a next man up mentality on offense, defense, and special teams. But you know, we got to be more physical up front with the O-line and the tight end. There's no doubt about it. But we're not planning on making any changes changes there.
Bob Flounders, Harrisburg Patriot News.
Hello, James. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. James, two quick ones. Will you have Manny Bowen available this week, number one? And I wanted to get your thoughts on Aaron Monroe, the young safety. He looked like he was pretty active against Rutgers. Your thoughts on his development and his play and kind of what he means to your future?
Yeah, no on Manny Bowen. And Aaron Monroe, we're really excited about. He's very athletic. He's got really good range and ball skills. He can run. And he's growing. I know Coach Banks is really excited about his development for our future. He's playing a lot on special teams for us as well. You know, I think you guys know I got a lot of history with Aaron and his family. Recruited his older brother Andre to the University of Maryland. Dad's a cop in Baltimore. Great people. I think Aaron's got a chance to leave here, you know, having a great career before it's all said and done, and we're excited about his future. But yeah, that's kind of where we are with those two guys.
Derek LeVar, Wilkes-Barre Times leader.
Hi, James. Good afternoon.
Hey, Derek. How are you?
I'm doing well. James, what sort of impact did this senior class have on not just the program, but you personally, considering many of them did join up, you know, just a few weeks after you got started?
Yeah, you know, it's kind of a combination. You got a few redshirt guys that were brought in, you know, the year before I arrived, and then you got some guys that were committed, you know, when I got the job, and then you got a few guys that we brought in that, you know, some of those guys played as true freshmen, and you know, it's hard. You know, senior day it's an exciting time for those guys because it kind of starts to kind of get them in the mode of thinking about the next step in their life and you know, the natural progression that happens through a football program. But these guys they're a part of our family. You know, obviously they're a part of the locker room, but they're, you know, it's more than that. You know, you get to know these guys on a very, very personal level. You experience highs, you experience lows. They're there for you, you're there for them. You know, my daughters, you know, Addie and Shola, these guys are like big brothers to them. You know, we do family night every Monday where we have dinner and all the families go up in the training table, and it really is a family environment. I know a lot of places say that, but you know, it really is here for us, probably more so than any place I've ever been. And that doesn't mean that the family is always puppies and rainbows, but you know, no different than any other family. I used to get in fights with my sister and arguments, but you work through those things, and every time you work through them, you become, you know, stronger. And I think that's how we are. Tough conversations, honesty, holding each other accountable, and ultimately preparing these guys for life. And you know, that's what we're trying to do, but it's hard. You know, these guys come in and they got all the answers. They're 17, 18 years old. They're highly recruited, and they got all the answers and they got it all figured out, and then they get humbled on the field like we all do, because this is a very humbling sport, very humbling profession. And then you grow together as an organization and from individual relationships. And then to be honest with you, it's not enough time, because right when you really kind of start to get to know each other on a significant level, they're leaving and they're moving on. So it's hard and it's emotional. I think they're probably a lot like us. There's a part of them that would probably like to stay longer, and there's probably a part of them that they want to get out of here. But it's like I tell them all the time. I mean, they all look back at high school now, and they, at the time they thought high school was so hard and stressful, and then they get to college, they look back and high school's kind of a joke. And then they're in college and they're stressing about college and how hard college is and how hard and tough we are. And then they look back at college and they're like, please, can I go back to Penn State? That's kind of how life is. And to me, the thing you're looking for is you're hoping that even some of the tough situations you've been in, that guys come back to the 10-year reunion and now they get it. They get why you had some of the hard conversations or made some of the tough decisions you had to make. But it's hard. It's hard to let these guys go. But the thing that probably is the thing that helps me through, and I think helps our organization through, is knowing that these guys, that Penn State does an unbelievable job of preparing these guys, that they're ready, for the next step to go on and be successful.
Mark Wogenrich, Allentown Morning Call.
Hi, Ben.
Hey, Mark, how are you, buddy?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Really good.
You mentioned Brandon Smith a bit earlier and how he speaks to the team. What is that like when he gets up speaking to the team? And then just what kind of impact does he have as well on the football field in being able to shift positions, move around, and play different spots at linebacker?
Well, we take a lot of pride here in, and I think Penn State does a really good job, probably better than a lot of places I've been, where, you want the scholarship guys and the walk-on guys to not really be able to, tell the difference. And is it perfect? No, it's not perfect, but I want everybody to feel like they, have a significant role and bring value to the organization. But it's hard. To be a major college football player in general is hard, and to do it as a walk-on. And Brandon was the guy that, wanted to have a bigger role. He started as a fullback, then linebacker, and thought he should be playing. Thought he should be playing on special teams, and he just kind of, we kind of kept saying, okay, we meet with Brandon, and kind of, all right, we heard you, and he's one of these guys. He just was so persistent, to be on scout teams, special teams, and he'd be making guys look bad with his effort and his tenacity and his perseverance, just day after day after day, and kept fighting for his opportunity. And it's like I tell all the guys all the time, you never know when your opportunity is going to come, and it's probably not going to come at the time that you think it should, but if you keep working hard, at some time it's going to happen for you. And that was Brandon. He kept telling us that he was ready, and we kind of kept shoving him away, and he kept coming back, and instead of sulking, he just worked harder, and then he gets his opportunity, and he's been put on scholarship, and he's played a significant role on defense, and he's played a significant role on special teams. He starts last week. He has 10 tackles. He's the player of the game. He brings so much maturity. The coaches trust him. He's got obviously different perspective, being the only married guy on our team, and depending on where you're at in different parts of the country. When I was out west coaching at Idaho State, that was a little more common. But having a guy who's married, very spiritual, really is thinking about his future. We do the guest coach program, which I'm very proud of, with professors and with significant alumni or whatever it may be. And I'm always telling the players to introduce themselves and network and all those types of things, and they don't always do it. Well, Brandon does, and through that he's developed a relationship with David Hahn, who's on the board and represents, I think, the hospital, in Hershey, Penn State Medical in Hershey, and now Brandon's developed a relationship with him and getting advice about medical school. He's a guy that's really kind of taken his entire Penn State experience and embraced it all. Really has embraced it all. And when he gets up and talks to the team, it's just different because he's a senior. He's kind of experienced it all. He's a senior. He's been a scholarship player. He's been a walk-on player. He's been a starter. He's been a scout team guy. He's been a special teams guy. So I think when he talks, it has a lot of credibility with our team, with our coaches and players. And he speaks from the heart, which is great. So I'm just really proud. I'm really proud of him. I'm hoping, no disrespect to our medical staff that we have now, but I'm hoping he can graduate medical school in a couple of years and be our team doctor and then never leave, because he's just got great perspective on this university and on this program, and being a student athlete, being a football player. He's a special guy.
Frank Boudani, York Daily Record.
Hey, good afternoon, James.
Hey, Frank. How are you, buddy?
Real good, real good. You mentioned again today about more physicality up front on the offensive line. Is there any reason you think why that's been such a continued sticking point for you guys on the offensive line? What can you do to help that or change that or make that better?
Well, I think in my time, when you look around, it's probably the toughest position to play, in college football from a physical perspective. There's positions like quarterback that are really hard to play from a physical and a mental perspective. But I think O-line is probably the next toughest from a physical and a mental perspective. I think playing corner in major college football is maybe the physically most difficult thing to do. And that's where experience counts so much. So we're still we still got some growth to go there. We got one senior on the unit. We got a redshirt freshman, a redshirt sophomore, a true sophomore, a junior, and a senior. So the best offensive lines that I've been around. Now there's exceptions to that, but the best ones that I've been around are senior laden or junior and senior laden. And sometimes there's offensive lines that are able to be very successful and not have that type of experience. But I think it's a combination of those things. I think it's youth. I think it's experience, and I think it's mentality. I think that the thing that's exciting to me is I think Will Fries has the chance to be a really physical, intimidating offensive lineman. He has the ability to do that. Stephen Gonzalez has the ability to do that. Connor McGovern has the ability to do that. Brendan Mann has the ability to do that, and so does Chaz Wright. And we just got to get them playing consistently with that type of confidence and that type of mentality. And I think what happens is when it's like anything else, when they start getting praised for it and they start getting patted on the back and having success for finishing blocks, it becomes contagious, and we need more of that. And like any other position or like any other unit or team, you need one guy to really start saying, "I'm the guy. Watch me. I'm going to show you how to do it." And then it becomes contagious for the group. So I'm looking forward to see who that is going to be and when it's going to be. And the same thing at the tight end position. I think it's probably harder than it's ever been at the tight end position, because most tight ends now in high school were big wide receivers, and getting all those guys to embrace the physicality of the position and the importance of being complete players on the O-line and at tight end. That the running game as well as the passing game are critical for us to go where we want to go.
Joe Giuliano, Philadelphia Inquirer.
Hi, James.
Hey, Joe.
Excuse me.
How are you, man?
I'm fine, thanks. And you?
Good.
Okay, on your defense, obviously not two great games against Ohio State, Michigan State. I just wondered, who were the guys on defense that kept your guys focused and positive? And what kind of meaning did last week's performance have on their overall well-being?
Yeah, I guess I don't look at it like that. football in general is a crazy sport. College football at this level is a crazy sport. The NFL, I watch games on TV. I watch games on coach cut-ups and edits, and you know, the consistency or the lack of consistency that you see all over the country and at every level. You know, to try to sustain it for 12 straight weeks is challenging, and that's the challenge for all of us. And I think our defense has played really good football, maybe some of the best defensive football in the country for most of our weeks. You know, and there's a lot of things that factor into that. Playing good teams is part of it. You know, part of it is you know, having some guys that aren't available for whatever reason is part of it. Us coaches, you know, consistently doing a great job and being aggressive is part of it on offense, defense, and special teams. You know, it's all of those things. But you know, I don't think it was ever that. You know, we played two really good teams and didn't play well enough. You know, we've lost 2 games this year by a total of 4 points, I think. So, you know, I guess sometimes the way you guys ask questions and the way you guys kind of pose things, I don't necessarily look at it the same way. We didn't play as well as we needed to 2 weeks on offense, defense, and special teams, and lost to 2 of the better teams in this country on the road by 4 points. So, you know, we're excited about how we played last week against Rutgers. That's behind us, and we're looking forward to the opportunity we have this week playing Nebraska, another storied, historic program.
Mike Gross, Lancaster Newspapers.
Good afternoon, James. How are you?
Good, Mike. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. What are some of the different challenges playing against a 3-4, which I don't think you see as often in the college game or in the Big Ten as you would in the NFL, and especially in terms of this ongoing effort to get the running game going?
Yeah, I think it just changes kind of, you know, your combination blocks and who you're working to and how you're coordinated, you know, across the board, and how you're accounting for the second level players and things like that. So identifying most people that play a 3-4, they're typically bringing a 4th man. So, you know, that's the other challenge with the 3-4 defense, is figuring out who is that 4th man. Are they equally, which is to me always the most challenging form of a 3-4, is when they have two outside linebackers and they're bringing those guys equally, and you have to figure out by either safety rotation or linebacker skew of who that 4th rusher is going to be. Most people typically have a 4th rusher who is the guy who's coming most of the time. So it's that. It's playing a style of defense and a you know, defensive front that we don't see that much. Our defense doesn't play it. We don't see it that much in this league, and how you're dealing with it. To me, it's like Stanford, for example. I mean, Stanford runs a pro style, pound you in the mouth offense in the Pac-10, which doesn't really fit the rest of the teams out there. So in some ways, it gives them an advantage. So, you know, for us, it's our guys being confident to understand how our blocking rules and our protection rules change for a 3-4 versus a 4-3.
Donnie Collins, Scranton Times Tribune.
Hey, James, how are you?
Good. How are you, Don?
Doing well. I'm assuming you read or heard about the comments from Jonathan Bill on ESPN about how the offense might be telegraphing plays based on how one of the tackles lines up. That's something a lot of the fans have been talking about on social media. Is that something you agree with, or especially considering how many RPOs and check with knees you guys use?
Yeah, but I, you know, that's what defenses do. I could say that about every offense in the country. There's tells. That's what our defense does. That's what our offense does. Is there some things that we can do better? Yes, no doubt about it. But you know, that's a lot of stuff that we did during the bye week. Is you know, scout ourselves from the opposite side of the ball, and whether it's the tight ends alignment or whether it's the backs alignment or depth of those things. There's tells, you know, and every offense has them, and every defense has them. That's what we spend our weeks studying. You know, I'd also say if the tells were so obvious, I still think we're averaging, I think, 31 points a game. And if everybody knew what we were doing on most of our plays, I would think that we would be scoring a lot less than that. But is there some things that we need to get better at? There's no doubt. Are there some things that we're doing with backs alignment, some things like that, disguising? Yes, and I think people have seen that the last couple of weeks. But I would tell you, the most important thing that we got to do from a coaching perspective is fundamentals and techniques, and make sure that we're winning the one-on-one battles and at the wide receiver position, at the tight end position, at the offensive line position, running back position, and quarterback position, that we're winning our one-on-one battles, and that we're knocking people off the ball and sustaining blocks, and that the coaches are doing everything in their power during the week to make sure that we're disguising some of the tendencies and tells that we have. But yeah, he's talking about tendencies, which everybody has. So I appreciate it.
We'll open up to questions here in the room. Raise your hand, we'll get a mic to you.
Hey James, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great. Hey, you talked about some of the ups and downs the seniors have been through. I wonder how appreciative you are of these kids taking a chance with you, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, with you and Penn State at a very difficult time for Penn State. A lot of these kids had other opportunities and they decided to come here. Yeah,
I talk about that when guys commit, even now. To me, I think I equate everything back to my own kids, and I think about, me trying to pick, a kindergarten, for my daughters, or me trying to pick an elementary school. I mean, it's a huge decision, let alone college. So, I think I take it as the ultimate sign of respect when a young man and his parents decide to choose us. Penn State football, our coaches, our players. To me, it's the biggest compliment that you can get is someone saying, look, I've spent 18 years investing in my son, and I'm handing him over to you to continue to build on the foundation that we've laid. And for the guys that we're recruiting, it's not like we're the only option. There's other really good options for them. So to me, it's the ultimate sign of respect. It's the ultimate compliment you can get, and that's why we take it so seriously, and that's why every decision that we make once they join our program is this in the best interest of the team first, and is this in the best interest of the individual second, and every decision is made like that. So these guys came at a time that was a challenging time for all of us at Penn State. And these guys believed in Penn State, they believed in this community, they believed in our professors and our faculty and the deans, the administration, they believed in our coaching staff, they believed in their teammates, and they felt like that we could do something special here. And those guys should be very proud. And I would hope, that we sell out the stadium on Saturday for no other reason than to show these seniors how much we appreciate all their hard work and sacrifices that they've made. And then it's our job as coaches, as players, to play well and to thank the fans. To me, that's kind of the relationship that we have, that they come to support us and show us how much they appreciate the commitment and what these players have done. And then it's us as coaches and players to thank the fans by going out and playing well and representing them well, during the week, and in the off season, which we take a lot of pride in as well. So, yeah, I'm really proud of these guys, and couldn't be more thankful and appreciative that they chose to come and be a part of our family.
Hey James, how you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you. A couple of weeks ago, you had said that you wanted your offense to be more committed to the run game, or more committed to the run game. How you may have put it. Seeing as we can't.
Before I answer the question, I'd like to know what I actually said.
Right.
It's hard for me to answer because
right.
I don't remember saying that.
You wanted a more commitment to the run game, and I had asked you, because of the nature of your offense, that's more of a traditional running style offense kind of comment, where you line up and run the ball. So because we can't know from this side the result of the play, whether or not that has happened, do you think in your eyes that you have been more committed to the running game, and how have you seen that go over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, again, I don't remember the front end, so I'm not gonna base it off of that. I'm just gonna talk. Yeah, I see what our coaches are doing. I see what our players are doing. I see us being creative. I see us running a little bit of a wildcat variation. I see us, being a little bit more personnel driven. I see us trying to disguise our running back alignments a little bit more. I see us, making a commitment in the time that we invest in practice and all those types of things, and individual and team periods and things like that. But yeah, it's not like we're just going to hand the ball off. But I am aware, and so are the rest of the staff, that for us to get better and for us to go where we want to go and be able to compete against the teams that we want to compete against, we have got to be more balanced. We have got to show that we can run the ball when we need to. We can run the ball with mentality, and be more balanced. I think is the biggest thing. I don't know if we're ever going to be a team that just lines up and runs the ball down your throat for 300 yards, but we don't need to be. But we do need to be able, when we get the right look, we need to be able to run the ball consistently into the right look, into the right situation, and we need to win our one-on-one battles from a protection standpoint, the passing game, and in the running game in terms of creating space. So to me, that's a quote. I'm not even sure where the quote comes from, but it's an offensive line deal where, there's no better feeling than to take a man and move him against his will 3, 4, 5, 6 yards. I mean, that's the stuff that offensive linemen love, and we need a little bit more of that. And I don't want you to take this the wrong way. I love our offensive line, and I love Coach Lime Grover, and they do a great job, and they're going to get better. But I would love to see a little bit more of that nastiness that I've been talking about for a couple of years. I think you guys have talked to me about. I actually met with some of the young linemen the other day about it, that they were brought in and told that, and they understood that, and they need to bring that in practice and bring that in the games, and some of them have the ability. Man has got the ability to be one of the most physical offensive linemen in the country. And he's an older guy, he's a senior, and I think, when he does it, the rest will follow, so probably going to have another conversation with him this week, and the impact that he can have and the legacy that he can leave here.
Staying on the offensive line, James, obviously Andrew Nelson the last couple of years, I'm sure you guys envisioned it, I'm sure he envisioned it, going differently. What have those 2 years, you think, been like for him from a leadership perspective, what he's brought to the team despite everything else? Yeah,
he's an unbelievable kid, and I think he's a great example of kind of what we've been talking about, which seems like this entire press conference is the offensive line. But I think not having a guy like that, a fifth-year senior, you'd love to have 2 fifth-year seniors on your offensive line at the very least, and a really talented guy. He's got the size, he's got the strength, he's got the intelligence, he's got the experience. It's really important to him, and he's kind of been on a roller coaster kind of since he's been here. And he's a guy that's handled a lot of difficult situations really well. We do the ultimate teammate deal where we go around in the team meeting every single day, and I ask guys who their ultimate teammate is, and he's the guy that a lot of different players mention, the guy that they look up to, and how he's handled everything, and how he's kind of a coach in practice and a coach on the field, and we're excited because we think that he's back in a situation where he's available if we need him. But yeah, you'd love to have another fifth-year senior like him, starting and leading and showing the young guys the way. But he's been awesome. He's been awesome really since day one with everything that we've asked him to do.
Hey James, you expressed some concerns after the Michigan State game with your team's focus. Do you feel that that's been heeded? And just a little bit on handling success. How do you think the team has handled success and what it can learn, going forward?
Yeah, I get your point, and that there is kind of part of that I did feel like there was a lot of outside noise on a lot of other subjects rather than just being 1-0. But I think it was also magnified because of the circumstances of that game, of how do you keep a team locked in and focused for 3.5 hours in the situation that we were in, and so there's a lot of other things that went into that. But yeah, I think we've all kind of grown and learned, through last year, this year, and our best model, to keep the team on the path that I think we need to be on is taking the 1-0 mentality and not focusing on anything else, and trying to limit as much of that noise in those conversations as we possibly can. And I feel good about that. We've done that since that game, where I think probably the weeks, this entire year probably, and even early in the season when we were doing some really nice things, probably had a little bit more of those conversations outside of being 1-0 than we had in the past.
And as a follow-up to earlier, does Bowen have a chance to make it back this season?
Bowen's not available right now.
James, so Tanner Lee getting hurt last week, and Mike Riley said yesterday he wouldn't count his in or out. How do you guys track that, when the other team's starting quarterback may or not play? And how does it affect preparation throughout the week for your defense?
The quarterback?
Yeah, with Tanner Lee being hurt.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the name you said. Yeah, I don't think it changes a whole lot, because they're going to run the same style of offense and the same plays. So it'd be different if one guy was a real mobile quarterback and one was a straight pro style, things like that. So they're going to run their offense, and if he's available, he'll play. I think it's going to be a game time decision type of deal, and he's a veteran quarterback, so he could probably handle that better than most. So it doesn't affect us a whole lot. All we can do is prepare for what we see on film, have an awareness and understanding of who this other guy is and what his strengths are and things like that. But again, we just got to prepare for what we see on film and have an awareness of what may happen and go from there.
John.
Coach, all right?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. Going through the stats from the Rutgers game, you guys had 1 sack, three hurries. Now, despite their quarterback being hurt, an offense that can sling it around the big.
What did you say about being hurt?
Well, I think he said the quarterback's hurt
yes,
for Nebraska. An offense that can sling it around. I think they're third in the Big Ten. What do you guys have to do? What can you do to make sure your guys get home this week, so to speak?
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll get some guys back from injuries, which would be helpful. I think getting back to the fundamentals and techniques and making sure that we're winning one-on-one battles. For whatever reason, the last couple of weeks we've been rushing down the middle of people, which is the last thing that you want to do in pass rush. You want to be on the edge of people, and for whatever reason, we've done a little bit of that the last couple of weeks. So I think that will help. I think obviously making sure that we're spending enough time and understanding how we're going to attack protections to get some free runners at the quarterback as well. Do a great job disguising. I see some of our players. I thought last week John Reed did a great job, and the corner. Excuse me, I said John Reed. Grant Haley did a great job. At the one time we're playing cover 2, but he made it look like he was blitzing, got the quarterback to change the protection, and then just dropped into cover 2. Things like that. I don't know if our guys understand. Sometimes that how much we disguise what we're doing, how important that is, and having some personality. The problem is when you play these tempo teams, it's hard to have that personality because the ball can be snapped. That's one of the reasons they do what they do. So it's going to be important for us this week, whoever the quarterback is, to be able to get pressure on the quarterback. Whenever you're playing these style of teams that have made most of their success through throwing the ball, is going to be really, really important. And then to be honest, that's when we're at our best defensively. When we're getting tackles for loss, getting people off schedule, which we were able to do last week in the run game, and then in the pass game, be able to get pressure on the quarterback. That's always kind of the formula for success on defense.
Time for 2 more.
Hi James, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. How has Tommy Stevens been an asset to the team when you're able to use him in certain situations, whether it's a decoy or when he's in late in the game as a backup? And also, what's his mentality like off the field and during practice?
Yeah, he's been great. He's one of the most respected players on our team. Him and Trace have a very strong relationship and work very well together. They challenge each other. They compete with each other. There's no doubt that he brings a component and an aspect to our offense, and really has all year long, and including last year. And we want to continue to do that. It's that fine line of what do you do to continue to develop Tommy from a game perspective, without messing up the rhythm of what we're doing offensively as well. And each week Joe's got certain portion of the game plan for Tommy and how we're going to use him, and then where he would like to use him in the game. And then even last week, I think with 6 minutes to go in the game, we had decided that we were putting him in and Miles in and a bunch of these guys in, and then we don't get the ball back because we did the same thing on defense, and then they get a significant drive there at the end. But Tommy's been great. It's not easy being the backup quarterback. It never is. I've lived that life myself. But the most important thing is how he conducts himself and how he carries himself and how he prepares and how he trains. And he's a pro. And I do know when the time comes that Tommy Stevens is going to be ready.
Mike Gesicki has proven to be a very good pass-catching tight end. In terms of blocking, how would you rate his career as he's grown in that area? Matt Millen got into him on the broadcast. Jesse James was kind of like that as well. He came here, was a very good pass-catching tight end, but struggled with the blocking. So what are the challenges to make sure the tight ends understand their role in block?
Yeah, I didn't hear the broadcast. I think Mike's come a long ways. Considering when he got here, he had never blocked anyone in his life. He made tremendous progress early on and continues to chip away at that. He understands it. There's been very clear conversations from me and Coach Ronnie. Fundamentals and techniques, I would say, when I watch Coach Ronnie's drills and we go over practice plans, I'd say probably 80 to 90% of their drill work is not running routes and catching balls. It's all the run game. So he understands very clearly in what he needs to do. I don't think there's any gray area there.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.